Okay, so very good evening to all of you. Now, before I go ahead, I just want to take care about one topic which we had discussed in the last class. And I believe there was some technical issues, so I want to take it from there and then we'll start with this, okay? So intervention to correct market. Before going for this, first and the foremost, you understand what is market failure. So when we talk about market failure, there's an important concept which we had shared about externalities and others. You already know about that, isn't it? So you know about that concept. I today want to discuss one concept which we had covered in the last class, but maybe because of technical issues you were not clear about it. So that's why I want to take it. Okay, that's about asymmetry information. Asymmetry information, basically, what do you mean by asymmetry information? Any idea about asymmetry information? What is asymmetry information? Do you understand what is asymmetry or misinformation or lack of information? So what is asymmetry information? Any idea about asymmetry information? Anyone in the class? No? Okay. So when we talk about asymmetry information, let's say that this is a buyer and this is a seller. Okay, so this A is a buyer and this fellow is a seller. Now this buyer is, let's say, is selling his or her old car. And this seller is selling his old. So let's say this is a buyer is a car dealer. Okay, so this buyer is a car dealer and this seller is selling his or her old car. Okay, now so this fellow knows about his or her old car better than the buyer, isn't it? So this fellow, let's say, met with an accident and he or she hides it from the buyer, so from the car dealer. And the car dealer thinks that these are the old cars, so the value of the car is less. So let's say the car dealer quotes the price, let's say, just an assumption, 50,000. Just an assumption, okay? Don't be disheartened for the second-hand car, just 50,000. So just an assumption. So let's take that on an average, this car dealer has come to the conclusion that the price of the car should be quoted as 50,000. And this fellow is hiding information, and this car is not worth even 50,000, has sold it to him at 50,000. So the fellow gets at 50,000. This is asymmetry of information. Asymmetry of information means the one who is selling old car has more knowledge about his or her car as compared to the one who's buying. Other probability you take, let's say A is a borrower. Okay, and B is a bank. So A goes to bank to take loan. And B has to give loan to A. But A is hiding some facts and figures about his or her financials. Is not telling truth about the financials. And in that case, the bank will come to know about that what are the true financials and go for lending to this. This is asymmetry information. Other than this case of health insurance companies, it can be for anyone. So asymmetry of information means there's a gap of information, the correct information between buyer and a seller. That is asymmetry information. This leads to market failure. Okay, so this leads to market failure. What do you mean by market failure? Market failure we have done in the last class. It leads to maybe overprice of the good or maybe less output of the good. Okay, or maybe too low price and too much of output, but this is hazardous for the economy or for the stakeholders or for the others. That's market failure. We have already shared externalities, positive, negative externalities in the last class. I hope you're thoroughly clear with it. So one concept which we had taken in the last class, but because of technical issue, I thought let me revise it before we go ahead for this topic. Okay, so this is clear to all of you. When one party has absolutely actually, so one party has more information. Now what happens because of this? This leads to Lemon's problem. They have asked many times this question, Lemon's problem. What is Lemon's problem? just example, because this is a very important topic. No, I thought you might not have been clear about it, so let me share it before we go ahead. So Lemon's problem basically says, let's say this is a health insurance company. Okay, so this is a health insurance company. फैन बंद कर दूं क्या? एक सेकंड. Okay, is it better now? Okay. So we are talking about Lemon's problem. Lemon's problem basically is about, let's say that this is about Lemon, they have spoken, but I'll take health insurance. That will be more easy for you to connect first and the foremost. Okay, so let's say there's a health insurance company, and this health insurance company, you know, basic model of insurance. What's the basic model of insurance? They go for pooling of risk, isn't it? They go for pooling of risk. Let's say they have 50 customers, and out of these 50 customers, 10 customers are unhealthy. Okay, 10 customers are unhealthy and 40 of them are healthy. So what's the cost of insurance company? Cost for insurance company is claim. People go for taking claim. That is a cost. So what the insurance company will try to do? Minimize the cost. And what is about the revenue of insurance company? Is premium. Premium is revenue. Okay, so this is the revenue component of the insurance company. They want to maximize revenue. They want to minimize cost. And how do they minimize cost? By ensuring that the number of claims should be minimum and the premium they should get is more. So here what happens? All these 50 people are going to pay premium, but only 10 of them are going to take claim because they are unhealthy people. So that's the cost for insurance company. Now what happens? This insurance company believe that majority of them are going to take claim. If they believe that, why it has happened? Because insurance company has lack of information about their customers who have gone for insurance. So this asymmetry of information leads to what? This health insurance company thinks that majority of the people are going to take claim. And keeping that into consideration, what do? They fix up premium higher. So if you go for fixing premium higher, and if you're a healthy customer, these 40 people are healthy customers, isn't it? So do you think these healthy customers are going to pay high premium? Because they know they are healthy and they may not go for taking the claim. So why should they pay high premium? But unhealthy people will be very happy because they are paying premium and which they feel is less than what they should pay. So unhealthy, what will happen here? This ratio will keep on changing. Why this ratio will keep on changing? Because the insurance company has miscalculated the risk of their customers, and that is why they have quoted higher premium. They thought that all of them or majority of them or on an average, they have a higher risk, and that's why the premium fixed is higher. So since the premium fixed is higher for those sort of people, then in that case, unhealthy will be increasing more here. So the number will change. The number will change from 40 to 30, from 30 to 20, and then finally, a whole lot of people, or let's say 40 people will be unhealthy in this, and only 10 people will be healthy in this case. And do you think if the number of unhealthy people increases, so the number of claim goes up? Claim goes up means the cost increases. Cost increases means, so what is here Lemon's problem is? Lemon's problem is these unhealthy people are Lemon and healthy people are Peer. Okay, so this is how it has been quoted. So what is happening in this case? This health insurance company is going to suffer because more and more unhealthy people will be there because the premium fixed is higher. Those unhealthy people feel that this premium is also less for them. But healthy people believe, no, why should we pay such a high premium? So they will quit. They won't go for insurance. So this company will have more and more unhealthy people. And if more and more unhealthy people, that means they are exposing to the higher risk. And why this problem arise? This problem arise because the health insurance company could not predict the risk of their customers or could not understand the risk. This is leading to adverse selection. So they call it as Lemon's problem. They call it as adverse selection. Okay, Lemon's problem or adverse selection. This question has been asked many times. So health insurance concept is clear. Another example which has been quoted is, okay, so when we talk about, I need to know that how the distribution pattern of national income determined. Harsh will share later this, because we are not talking about this right now, national income. We are talking about government role in terms of market failure. Okay, so market failure, this is one important concept, Lemon problem. Another concept which they have shared in terms of asymmetric is about cars. So let's say old car seller, the one who sells old car, and a car dealer who buys old car. Now the old car dealer, those who buy old car, he or she assumes that normally the cars are on an average of 60,000. So believe that the cost is almost 60,000. So if those people who have bad cars, and they should get exactly, let's say 40,000, but because of the car dealer miscalculation are getting 60,000. So what is going to happen? More and more bad car sellers will be going to sell their car to the car dealer. Isn't it? So more and more bad car dealers going to sell their car, the car owners sell their car to the car dealers. That means this car dealer will have more bad cars which are accidented or which are not in a good condition. And this car dealer will get more and more number of bad cars. The number of good car sellers will not go to him because they believe the price he's quoting is less. Why has that happened? It has happened because this fellow could not predict the price of the car, of good car, or could not differentiate between the bad car and good car. So Lemon's problem is having more and more of bad cars and less and less of good cars with this car dealer. And if he has more and more of bad cars, then in that case, one point of time, he has to shut his business, because how will he survive? By selling all bad cars. It has to be a combination of good and bad, or rather it should have been more good cars and less bad cars. So this is a problem of asymmetry of information, which leads to market failure. Very, very important concept which you should know about. Okay, is it clear? So this is the concept which you should understand. मैंने हिंदी में बाद में बताएंगे बेटा, अभी आप broadly समझ लो. So basically एक car dealer है, the car dealer has, इसमें क्या problem है? उसके पास old cars आती है, new cars आती हैं. People go for selling their second hand car. जो अपनी second hand car sell करने जाते हैं car dealer के पास, the car dealer is not able to anticipate कि कितना risk है. वो प्राइस कोट कर रहा है लो, तो उस कार डीलर के पास ज्यादा से ज्यादा पुरानी गाड़ियां आएंगी जो खराब गाड़ियां हैं. अच्छी गाड़ी कौन देगा उसको at that price? So this car dealer will have more and more bad cars, which will lead to problem because he will not be able to sustain. And then in that case, the fellow has to shut his business. That is a problem of lemon price. उसी तरह banks में आप देखिए, if in a bank, the banker cannot anticipate the risk of a borrower, and they think that all borrowers are bad borrowers, and then they go for putting higher interest rate on good borrowers also and bad borrowers also. So if you go for, as a banker, you go for giving loan to good borrowers as well as bad borrowers at high interest rate, then in that case, will good borrowers going to buy from bank? No, they will not buy, because you're charging high interest rate from them. So they will not buy. If they are not buying, then in that case, the banker will be lending more and more to bad borrowers. And what is the impact of bad borrowers? Bad borrowers means they'll default. They'll default means bank will have liabilities on its head. That is a lemon problem. So lemon kya hai is case mein? This is a concept given by economists where lemon is bad and pear is good. Okay, so that's how this is known as asymmetry of information, which leads to adverse selection. Asymmetry information क्या है? Banker को नहीं पता. Banker doesn't know the risk of the borrower. The car dealer doesn't know the risk of buying or cannot differentiate between good car and bad car. The health insurance company cannot differentiate between healthy and not healthy person, and they go for fixing higher premium. That's the lemons problem. Okay, it was a concept or that is known as moral hazard. Moral hazard basically means that suppose you go for taking insurance. Okay, once you take the insurance, there are some terms and conditions which are specified. And once you have entered into insurance, tomorrow, let's say that once you enter into the insurance, you say, I'm a healthy person, so my risk is less, and insurance company goes for fixing lower premium for you, because jitni zyada aap bimar honge, utni zyada aapka premium rate hoga, isn't it? That's a cost, because your probability of taking claim will be higher. So in that case, what's going to happen? This insurance company fixes lower premium for you because you've hidden information by saying that you're a sick person. But suppose tomorrow, once you've entered into the contract, and then tomorrow you have a problem because you are not fit. This is moral hazard. Moral hazard is once you've entered into the contract and post that you are doing something which is not as per the contract terms, and this leads to a problem to the other person. That is known as moral hazard. Okay, so what is the difference between this concept of lemons problem or adverse selection with respect to moral hazard? Moral hazard is post-act. Post means you have already entered into a deal, and later you have gone for some information or you're misusing that, and then going for taking undue benefit of that. That is known as moral. So ideally, you're bound to follow the rules and regulations, but you go for hiding those information, or you go for misusing that information, maybe the buyer, maybe the seller, after you enter into the contract. That is known as moral hazard. So we are through with this. Yes, all bad cars are. Yes, absolutely. Low quality goods through good quality goods out of the market. So all, yes, absolutely. So आपको समझ में आ गया सबको. Good. We are through with that market failure. Now today market failure, we are going to take it forward. You understand what are the causes of market failure. You understand that if there is market failure, there will be negative externalities, there can be positive externalities. Why positive externalities are again a market failure? Positive externalities is the good thing, no? So it should be not market failure. Why is we consider this as a market failure, positive externalities? Whether you say about consumption externalities or you say about production externalities, do you think if there are positive externalities, then in that case, so consuming less electricity is positive externality. But how many of us, we practice it? Do we practice it? Consumption of less water or going for more green is what? Consumption externality, positive externality. But how many of us practice it? So what happens in the case of positive consumption externalities? People consume less. They go for less. So education is positive externality, consumption externality. But if I tell you those set of people, those who feel that my child should go to field and work rather than going to education, why is it so? They derive more utility by making a child go through education or read and learn and perform better and get a good job, but they don't realize this. Isn't it? They do not realize this. So what happens because of that? That child suffers. So basically what happens, what I want to convey to you people here is that आपको भी कभी-कभी ये question strike कर सकता है that in the case of positive externalities, why government need to intervene? So why government need to intervene in the case of positive externalities? Because in that case, there will always be less consumption, less production. That is why government has to intervene in the case of positive externalities. Otherwise, positive externalities is good. Why should government intervene? But the production is always less than the optimum level in the case of positive externalities, and consumption is also less than the optimum level. That's why government has to intervene. So today we are going to share about government intervention to correct market. What do you mean by correct market? Correct market means there should not be a condition of market failure. What do you mean by market failure? The price should not be overcharged. The price should not be too low. The price, if it is overcharged, then it leads to social welfare loss. If price is too low, then in that case, it is leading to negative externalities. Output should be optimally produced. Resources should be allocated efficiently. Distribution of income should be more equitable. And there should be macroeconomic stabilization. So all these factors together is the concern for government of any country, and that is why they need to intervene to bring the market back on the right track. Okay, so that is what we are going to share today. Yes, I'll do it today for sure. Okay, so we are going to share public finance. Public finance, you understand, we started with this. What is public finance? Musgrave gave this concept. What was the concept of public finance? That government has to take care about certain expenditure and government has to generate certain revenue to take care about three parameters we have already shared, micro and macro. I'm not going to repeat that again, okay? And what government has to do? Government has to intervene in the market to correct market failure. Last class में हमने share किया था causes of market failure. So what exactly government has to do here? Why should government intervene? Government should intervene to minimize market power. Because you understand, if there is high market power, what happens when the market power is high? When the market power is high, in that case, if you are a single player, if there are only three sellers, let's say there are three sellers. So there are three sellers and many buyers. What these three sellers are going to do? They are going to dictate in the market by quoting high price. They'll quote high price. They'll go for less production. What will happen because of this? Production will not be optimal. Consumers will be paying high price for this. Not bad. It's bad, or is it good? It's bad, no? So they have to reduce minimize market power and promote competition. So the government role here is to promote competition. Just as here in the case of telecom. So from BSNL to Airtel to Vodafone to Jio today. So this is how. So more and more competition. What is happening? So Vodafone ka market mein, what was happening because of Vodafone in the market at that time? They were charging huge price. Airtel was also there, but Vodafone was charging high price. But when Jio came, prices reduced because the market power get diluted between the different players. And that helped too. So that's the role of the government. What government did? Government had gone for 2G, 3G spectrum and what made these players to enter in the market. So this is how government can reduce market power. This will help to control market failure. Correct externalities. How government can correct externalities? If you are a firm which is emitting high pollution, so you are a high polluting firm, we'll tax you. So the pollution tax will be imposed by the government. If pollution tax is imposed, they'll fix a threshold limit. If you go beyond this limit, then you will be paying per additional level. You go for pollution, you will be paying tax. If the tax rate is higher, what happens to your cost? The cost of production, private cost goes up, marginal private cost goes up. Marginal private cost goes up means your price goes up. Price goes up means you lose business. So in that case, you will go for less pollution. Externalities. If you are a environment-friendly firm, so you are a green firm. So if you are a green firm, I should take another color. So if you are a green firm, if you are a green firm, in that case, green firm, what will happen in the case of green firm? So if you are a green firm, then government will say we'll subsidize you. Will subsidize you. So if we are subsidizing you, that means your marginal cost goes down, your marginal cost goes down, your price goes down. You gain. And this is the incentive for you. So that's correcting externalities. These are negative externalities, isn't it? And positive, this is positive, green is positive, and this is negative. Negative to be discouraged and positive to be encouraged. Then merit and demerit goods. What are merit goods and demerit goods? Cigarettes, alcohol, crackers, deforestation, then spreading wrong messages, creating problem, corruption, then discriminating girl child and harassing girl child or not following the norms are some policy measures and others, demerit goods. What is the role of the government? Demerit goods should be reduced because these are negative externalities. And what about merit goods? Education, health, housing for many people, education for all students, all youngsters. Then, so these are health issues to be taken care of all people. Connecting people through the roads and giving them access to quality of life, water, sanitation, all meant. Research, innovation, employment through education are all merit goods. Okay, so what government will do? Government will promote merit goods and government will discourage demerit goods. Now, what happens in the case of merit goods? What happens in the case of merit goods? Do you think that education koi rural India mein jaake dena chahega? Some private player want to go in the rural India and then they want to promote education. Hardly, yes, there are people, but you can count them on fingertips. So what government will do? Government will say that you go for establishing school in the rural area, we'll subsidize you, we'll give you tax benefits. So what is government doing here? Education is a merit good. Government is promoting what? Government is promoting education by subsidizing, by giving tax benefits. So those who go for cottage industries, they create multiple jobs for people. Then in that case, they say, okay, fine, you're going for multiple cottage industry, small scale, in a very small scale level of production, you are doing it, we'll give you, because you are creating job. You're creating job means you're generating income for people. You're generating people, you are improving their quality of life. Similarly, sanitation. So rural India, people do not have a facility to go to toilets and others. Who want to go for this? Private players. They don't want to go for it because the cost is huge and they do not get, and people are not having that kind of demand. So who will take care of this? Government has to take care. So merit and demerit goods. So government promotes merit good because merit good leads to welfare. Demerit goods increases private cost less than the social cost. So social cost is huge in the case of demerit. We have shared cigarettes, alcohol, even cryptocurrency, I would say, is demerit good. What happened because of cryptocurrency? All youngsters indulged in this and they were misguided because of this and they lost money. So demerit goods, which leads to consumption, where the private benefit is more than the social. The social loss that has to be corrected. Okay, correcting information failure. So we have shared about correcting information failure. What do you mean by correcting information failure? Correcting information failure is in terms of that gap of information. So when I say that there's lack of information of education, so making people understand, there was a lack of information in terms of MSP, minimum support price offered to farmers. So making them understand, there was lack of information regarding going for insurance, life insurance. People do not understand life insurance importance. People do not take life seriously. People think that they will always be there on this earth. So these are problems which are correcting information failure. Then equitable distribution. What is equitable distribution? Equitable distribution is give benefits to underprivileged set of people, giving them reservation, giving them subsidized food, giving them subsidized kerosene, giving them cylinders, giving them preference in jobs, giving them unemployment allowances, taking care about marginal set of people, marginal farmers. This is about all making some, giving them some benefits through budget. When the budget is decided about for farmers, you see, Government of India has worked so much for Micro, small, and medium enterprises, government has worked so much. So it is equitable distribution to bring unorganized sector back in the mainstream. Absolutely, cryptocurrency. Absolutely right, Shiva. अभी तो बताया बेटा पूजा, why positive externality leads to market failure. Positive externalities leads to market failure because education is a positive externality, isn't it? Education is a positive externality. But you think that आप simple ICI के case में लीजिए. See, ICI is promoting virtual education. But there are many students, those who believe they should go for private tutors. They don't realize the benefit of getting this kind of opportunity to avail and gain benefit. So what's happening? ICI is putting so much efforts through virtual these classrooms, but all students are not getting benefited through this because they are not aware about, or they are not somehow, their mindset is like that we should go to private players. So what is happening here? There is not optimum utilization of resources, isn't it? So when it is about positive externalities, always consumption is less, because that's not driving people towards that to that extent. And that is why government has to sensitize. Similarly, ICI is sensitizing people. See, you see virtual classes, how it is helping you. You can connect anytime. You can go through notes. You can ask your queries. You can go for matching up your syllabus in such a short span of time, and so and so. So people should realize that how beneficial it is for them. So that's why for the positive externality, always production is less, consumption is less. How many students from underprivileged set of people, they go to school? How religiously they go to school? जो बच्चे पब्लिक स्कूल में जाते हैं, गवर्नमेंट स्कूल में उसी सिंसियरिटी से जाते हैं. So Delhi government talking about that we are arranging parent teacher meeting. They have to announce on radio, they have to announce everywhere, government intervention to make people understand, see, your child is in a government school, and we want you as a parent to realize that how your child is performing, so that you can interact with your child and make him or her perform better. Why should government do it? Because people are not bothered about. We have sent our child to school, we are not bothered. But if the child is going to public school or any private school, parents are very particular about how my child is doing, what are his marks or academic performance, how the child is performing, what kind of initiative should we take? Should we go for private tuition for my child? This fellow is weak in maths, and so and so. But do you think those set of people, those who are getting education subsidized, are they bothered about these things? Half of them, they are not sending their kids to school only. It's a positive externality. So government has to intervene, has to motivate. Agar aap ek simple concept aapne padhao, you might have come across, I don't know how many of you come, nudge. You know, nudge, N-U-D-G-E, nudge. Nudge is positive intervention. N-U-D-G-E, nudge. I love this word, nudge. This is positive intervention. Like government of India said that you go for sacrificing your cylinders. So Modi government requested all, Prime Minister requested all, you middle class people, you have your cylinders. That is, you're costing it to you 850 or 600 something. So आप इसको sacrifice कर दीजिए अपनी subsidies से. You sacrifice your subsidy. You sacrifice, so middle income group has subsidized. It has gone to lower income group of people. So people in the rural India are having gas today. They have got rid of chula. Chula was leading to what? Negative consumption externality. But this is positive externality has happened only because the government has intervened. Government नहीं बोलती तो क्या हम अपने cylinders देते? We would not have sacrificed ever. So government has to take care. Sometimes they need to sensitize. Sometimes they have to go for putting some restrictions. Sometimes they have to penalize. So somehow or the other they go for taking measures. So government intervention is very, very important to correct market failure. Okay, so these are the parameters to be taken care. It can be both fronts, absolutely. Yani it can be from both fronts. It can be from the demand and supply. Demand ka hoga, to then we'll say it is consumption externality, and if you say supply, then we'll say it is production externality. Okay, so respectively. Okay, anyways, so this is interesting, isn't it? These are the factors which leads to. So what is required? Market failure leads to inefficient market. So what government has to do? Government has to intervene to bring efficiency in the market. How government brings efficiency in the market? You think roads and flyovers and bridges, any private player will go for it? Ye jo aap dekhte Larsen Toubro and other players are working on it. Why do they work on it? Because government has given them contract. So you construct, and once you construct, you take your money back through toll plaza and others. And once you get the money back, then it is government thing. So jitne bhi aap flyovers dekhte hain, all those national highways, government of India is taking care. Who will take care about that? Huge investments, positive externality. But nobody wants to do it because it is huge investment. And who's going to pay for that roads? Nobody wants to pay. But benefits are immense. That's why government has to go for it. So government has to intervene because here there is inefficiency. So people construct road where people construct road. So let's say Unitech or Ansel or your any DLF, any player. So real estate developers, they have constructed a multi-story building. Close to that, they'll construct a school, they'll construct some park, gymnasium and other things, and they'll connect it through road. Utne area mein they'll connect it through road. But are they bothered about that the road should be connected in remote India? No. So that is the government has to take care about. So physical infrastructure for bringing efficiency where no other player wants to enter into. Institutional infrastructure. So legal framework. So we have law, we have judges, we have lawyers, we have property law, we have other laws, the criminal law, then we have civil law. So you have all these law in place and the regulatory bodies. You have SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India. You have Reserve Bank of India. We have Companies Act 2013. You have GST, Goods and Services Tax. You have Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code today, 2016. We have Consumer Protection Act. You have Competition Commission Act. Then you have Motor Vehicle Act. So if these were not taken care by government, you think that people would have got relief in case of adversities? Definitely. So government intervention is very important where the private players are not ready to take the charge because they believe that their costs are not able to overcome through the price. And consumers will not pay the price. So if consumers are not paying that price, why should I be entering into that market? That's why public schools are all best of the schools are in urban cities. But no best of the schools will be in rural India because unko pata hai nobody is going to pay them that price for that. Who will pay that fee? So why should we have AC school in rural India? So government has to take care about health services. Health services you won't find in rural India. People all the way during COVID had to come to Delhi, and many had lost their life from remote India because they were not having access to life. So they had to travel all the way. If the roads were not there, if government hospitals were not there, just say aapka AIMS hai, Wellington hai in Delhi. So these are the hospitals which are there. So people can go over there. That's why you see number of people because that's positive externality, but no one wants to take the charge. If you go to Apollo, if you go to Fortis, they charge a lot. So normal people cannot afford to go for that. That's why government has to intervene. Okay, what are the different forms of government intervention? Absolutely, Harsh. Absolutely, and it's really sad. It's very sad. But government paisa deti hai iske liye bahut sara, and still people are not bothered about. So it's really sad. Anyways, so government intervention kaise hota hai? Government can intervene directly. Government can intervene indirectly. How government intervenes directly? Government intervenes directly. जैसे अभी हमने बात की schools and colleges, hospitals, roads. Government is taking care about as a supply. So government is providing those facilities. Food to people, those who cannot afford to. So that is about as a supplier. So ration shops and others which are there. So government act there because certain set of people are deprived of it. So direct intervention. Okay, so as a supplier of public goods आप समझते हैं? Public goods are basically which are two category of public good, pure and impure. Impure public goods are goods which are rivals but which are not excludable. You cannot exclude people, but कुछ fees restrictions डाल के आप उसको rivals बना सकते हैं. One can use and the other cannot use in that case. So, sorry, you can make excludable people, but you cannot go for rivals. You can make excludable set of people, those who can be restricted by things. Just a toll plaza, toll bridge. What happens over there? Those who can pay toll, they can only go through that road or that flyover. Those who cannot, they cannot. So that is how government can go for public goods which are excludable also, which can be non-excludable also. As a buyer, as a procurement. So what government is doing as a buyer, government goes for procuring basic food, and then it gives to people. That's happening during COVID. You have seen that poor people not having food. So government of India had procured food, and they had given it to people free of cost. So government can go for procurement. Other example of direct is petrol. So in the case of petrol, also government buy from the international market, and then it goes for giving it, but they fix the price, so it becomes excludable. Certain people can afford, certain people cannot afford. Okay, indirect way. How government can go for indirect way? Schools, education, hospitals, R&D, ISRO, all this is what as a supplier. Okay, information, government provides direct information, SEBI, RBI, pension fund body, then pension fund regulatory body, insurance regulatory development authority, then Controller Auditor General of India, then Niryat Bandhu, all these players, they give information about everything. So that's about direct. As a buyer, I've already told you about. Government can also go for intervening through taxes and subsidies. We have already shared. If you generate positive externalities, we'll subsidize you. If we subsidize you, your cost goes down. So if you're running education institution, अगर उसके लिए आपने land लिया, you will get at a subsidized price. But if you take a land for making mall or something like that, you will be taxed. In GST also, you have seen GST also. There are the goods which are on the upper slab, 28 GST slab. These are known as demerit goods, where they have put higher taxes to make people not to consume less and less. Okay, so taxes and subsidies. Hitesh, government has done intervention in health also. Otherwise, COVID vaccine आपको मिल सकता था इस price पे, free of cost. Government has intervened. That is why people got government made a clear-cut guidelines, direct intervention, that through information. First and the foremost, you have to go for frontline workers to be vaccinated. इसीलिए सारे doctors, nurses, all paramedical staff were first taken care about vaccination. Even in third dose, they have done it. Then they said about to go for 40 plus, and then they said about to go for, now they are talking about youngsters. So it is only because of government intervention. Government intervenes health sector may, even banks may. Public banks, if they have to go for public banks, 40% they have to lend it to rural India. That's a government intervention. If you want to operate as a bank, you have to go for priority sector lending to farmers. You cannot go for denying that if you want to exist. So direct intervention. Indirect can be through taxes and subsidies. Okay. So regulation and influences. Regulations means through licensing ho sakta hai, fixing through certain norms. So you see where the government goes for restricting through licensing. Government can influence through taxes. Government can influence through facilitating the process. Government can restrict the player. So government can take different measures. So that is how government intervene in the market. If you are reading regularly newspaper, आप connect कर सकते हैं all concepts here. And that is about economics. More and more examples you quote, better and better your retention power is, and you can score better also. Examiner will also be happy to see that, wow, this child knows about the application part of it, apart from the concept. Okay, so government intervention is to minimize market power. Why the government needs to minimize market power, we already know about, because market power leads to what? Market power leads to lower level of output, and it leads to deadweight loss. Deadweight loss, aapko pata hai na? Deadweight loss, what happens in the case of deadweight loss? The marginal social benefit, marginal social benefit is less than marginal social cost. Or the marginal social cost is higher than the private benefit. Marginal private benefit is more than marginal social cost. That means you are enjoying at the cost of society, and that is leading to loss of welfare. This is dead weight loss. To overcome this, government has to intervene. So we have already shared government goes for taking measures, direct and indirect. Competition Act 2017. In UK, they have Competition Act 98, antitrust law in the US. You have in international market also, you understand, they go for tariffs, they go for quotas, they go for subsidies, they go for some measures like that. So different measures are taken over the period of time, okay? So they can go for other measures which are taken over the period of time is market liberalization. We have already shared telecom, you see education, you see university education, you see you have private players in the education sector. You have private players in the case of health sectors. You have private players in insurance also. So these are different players which are there in the market. Then control mergers and acquisitions. If there are many if companies, let's say that there are telecom mein aap dekhiye, if in telecom all the players go for merging, and if they make only two groups in the terms of telecom services, what is going to happen? Two telecom companies catering to entire India. That is why we have MTNL, that is why we have BSNL. To bring the balance here. So people, those who do not want to avail these telecom, they should not go for, so they restrict mergers where it leads to market power. Market power, because if you go for having merger and acquisitions, that means you are having concentration of the power. Concentration of the power leads to what? Control on price. And control of price leads to what? Loss to consumers. That's why they take care about this. Then price capping. Price capping is what? Fixing up the cap price. So if you go for keeping the emission level this level, let's say that noise pollution, if you go for 1000 decibels, then in that case, you will be penalized. So people, those who go for marriage and other parties, they say that you cannot go after 10 o'clock this much. If you go for this emission, sound emission, then in that case, you will be penalized. Fixing the limit in terms of capping up the price cap, fixing the upper limit. Profit capping. Profit capping, if companies, they go for more and more concentration of power and they go for charging high profit, then they fix up the limit of profit also. So they fix up limit on the profit also. On rate of return on regulation, how much you're getting return through your investments, on that also they fix limit. They set performance target, just have देखिए ISO norms होते हैं. You have norms, quality control norms are there. So you have to get certification. If you are exporting something, then you have to get export certified documents that yes, my good is worth exporting. It meets all quality norms. Education institutions today have to get rating to sustain. So that talks about performance and standards, and that talks about that what quality of education you are giving. So performance targets and standards are fixed. Consumer Protection Act is there. They are supposed to give guidelines. They have to write everything. So if you have seen any food product, they have to write prior other things. For example, PDS here also, exactly, PDS also, price distribution. This is about ration shops and others, public distribution system, which is there. Consumer protection, if you see any product, what they write, they have to write about price of the good. They have to write about expiry of the good. They have to write about what are the contents in that good. So I still remember 25 years back, if people used to buy bread, उस पे expiry date नहीं होती थी. There was no expiry date. But now it is there. on any product which you are consuming, there's expiry date. That is about consumer protection. So government guidelines are there. When GST was introduced, companies were told to go for repackaging their products and code the price as per GST norms. So that is how they work on consumer protection. Somebody saying that we are giving you this product and these are the content of these product. But if it is not up to that mark, you can sue that company in court. You can go to Consumer Protection Act and you can get relief over there. So that is the role of consumer protection, to bring balance. Check of collusion and predatory pricing. Predatory pricing is, predatory pricing aap samajhte, to keep the price lower, enter in the market and then go for increasing the price. Jaise Jio ne kiya. Or collusion. So TRAI is the body, you know, TRAI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, TRAI. So people had gone to TRAI. That is why Idea and Vodafone and others had to go for. So Jio brought disruption in the market, isn't it, in telecom sector? Collusion is 2 or 3 players colliding together for a strategic objective. So this particular objective we want to achieve. For example, I say that COVID time and people going for oxygen cylinders. So those who had oxygen cylinders, they might have gone for collusion. That see, in this particular area, we are the 3 players. Let's work together, decide the price. And if anybody is going to come, we'll sell at this price only. And they realized at that time that oxygen cylinder was need of the hour for people. It was a matter of life and death. Collusion. So that's bad. So these kind of activities, government has to counter check and put restrictions on these. Control on import. So suppose, let's say that in India, the production of onion is less and demand is there, but production is less. And we can say that we do not want to export. So that's a control on export. Similarly on import. So like the way Trump did it in the case of import, like we did it in the case of over the period of time to Chinese goods and others. So control on certain goods on import so that your domestic players can be safeguarded. जैसे अभी आप देखिए वो so many products India has done for even Chinese products, toys and others, which were very harmful for people, hazardous for people. So they had put restrictions on import of such products. Okay, nationalization. So nationalization in terms of that they have done it for banks. They had done it for banks, nationalization to help the sector, because their banks are lifeline of the country. So now they're talking about consolidation of banks because they feel that the private banks are becoming more stronger. So to take care about major welfare of the people, they're talking about consolidation of banks. Okay. So market power also they go for restricting. Patent and copyright. Copyrights are there, patent rights are there. Then in that case, probability is that you will not misuse it and you will pay the price, and then quality will also be checked in that case. So that's another factor. Natural monopoly, you understand what is natural monopoly? See, Bhargavi, why mergers and acquisitions? If I say this segment, let's say e-commerce, okay? E-commerce, where we have majorly who are the 2 players, Amazon and Flipkart, isn't it? That leads, and Amazon being a strong player in terms of capital, technology, logistics, as compared to Flipkart, they are having more power. And you understand that as customers who are suppliers who are whose goods are there on Amazon platform. So they are the suppliers, isn't it, to Amazon, and Amazon is a buyer. Now, these suppliers are at which position? They cannot go for dictating their terms to Amazon because Amazon is a big player and there are many, many suppliers. So what happens when there is mergers and acquisitions, which leads to concentration of market power? Other players in the market, the suppliers, the customers all of them are going to be adversely affected. That is why if merger and acquisition leads to positive externalities, definitely go for it. But if merger and acquisition leads to higher market power, leading to monopoly, leading to inefficient allocation of resources, leading to exploitation of consumers, definitely not good for the economy. Okay, so that is how they work for it. Procurement as buyer as direct intervention. Natural monopoly arise due to high cost of entry in market sector. No. Natural monopoly, basically, if I say natural monopoly in the case of Dubai or Russia, what is the natural monopoly of Russia? Oil. Oil is their natural monopoly. And when you talk about natural monopoly of TCS in terms of the technology they have, or Wipro they have, the technology they have. So natural monopoly basically means that you have that kind of skill or factors of production or natural resources, which leads to reducing your marginal cost, which gives you market power. And in that case, you can go for keeping your price low, but still capturing the market and restricting other players to enter. Because what happens, your average cost becomes low. Average cost become low means what price you can cater in the market, no other player can cater at that price. And that gives you gain in the market, isn't it? You gain externalities. Procurement as direct, it's about MSC can be direct intervention, Viral, minimum support price. So minimum support price is direct intervention, and procurement is when the government is going to buy certain products to go for example, I say that in India, food prices, fertilizer prices are going up. Why fertilizer prices are going up? Because maximum fertilizer we import from Ukraine. So government of India working on procuring fertilizers from other countries and producing within the country so that they can procure and reduce the price in the market. Okay. Natural monopoly depends. Natural monopoly depends. If you rely code, just आपने देखा, you have seen in the case of Sri Lanka, you have seen in the case of Sri Lanka, what's the natural monopoly of Sri Lanka? Beaches, isn't it? What's the natural monopoly of Dubai? Oil. What's the natural monopoly in India? Skill of people, if they have, and cheap labor. The production cost is very low in India. So that's the natural monopoly Asian countries are having. Okay, so what is the core objective of intervention of the government? Obviously, to maximize social returns, minimize social welfare loss, and maximum welfare of the society. So they look for welfare of the society. That's the core objective when the government works on, especially country like India. So that is their core objective. That's why they go for intervening. What is internalized social and social benefit? Internalized social and social benefit. Internalized means, what is internalized means? Internalized means I'm a firm A. I have my private cost and I have my external cost. We have done it in the last class, you remember? External cost and private cost. So I have private cost and external cost. What is private cost? Private cost is my cost of production on land, labor, resources, raw material, my advertisement, my procurement, everything is my private cost. What is external cost? Which I am not bearing, which I am emitting on society. Okay. Now this A player is producing, let's say, some generic drugs. Okay, so they are producing some generic drugs, basically medicines. Okay, some basic medicines they are producing. And because of that, what they're doing, they are disposing of all waste in river. So this is external cost, which they are not bearing, and it's a loss. So how it is going to be internalized? If this external cost is borne by this company A. And when they calculate their total cost, they take care about external cost and private cost. That means they're internalizing this. Same is for the benefits. So that is internalized. So they want to internalize social benefit by imposing on taxes on this player. And taxes will be equal to what? Equal to external cost. So whatever will be the external cost, equal to that, taxes will be imposed. So private cost plus taxes, which is equal to external cost, will be equal to what? Who will bear the cost? Obviously, A will bear the cost. And there will be no cost on the society. So this is how it works. Okay, so objective is social welfare. They have to take care about, there should not be overproduction, there should not be underproduction. So we have already done this. Overproduction happens when, in the case of negative externalities, we have shared example of cheap polythene bags. जो 50 पैसा का मिलता है आपको almost free मिलता है market में. That is overproduction, negative externalities. Underproduction of positive externalities. When it is about positive externalities, you do not want to produce much. Education, health, housing, research, positive externalities, but very few people are ready to go for it. They only go for profit, where they get profit, where the consumers are ready to pay price. But the set of consumers who cannot afford to pay, they will not get. So there is underproduction. Though they are capable of producing, but they will not produce. Underproduction in the case of positive externalities. So this is about the concept. Absolutely, absolutely, Bharti. Yes, right. How patent and copyright leads to innovation. See, patent and copyright leads to innovation if government says that we are promoting patent. So then in that case, what will happen? Those who innovate, they'll only get patent. And if you get patent, then in that case, what happens? You have edge in the market. You have edge in the market means you can sustain for a longer period of time. Isn't it? So it's a complete circle. Mukta, it's a complete circle. Some people innovate. That's why they have got that patent and copyright. And those people who have innovated and have got patent and copyright, that makes other also drive to go for it. And that's why they also go for it. And then it continues and it increases over the period of time. So countries which innovate, they set a benchmark and then further higher and higher, and people go for innovating over the period of time because that government gives them incentives for that. And it helps country to grow. That leads to positive externalities, production externalities. Isn't it? Okay, so government intervention helps to correct externalities. We've already shared. And government has to control negative externalities. So BS6 norms, scrappage policy in India for cars. If your car is more than 10 years, it will go in scrappage. You cannot use it. You cannot use this because it's going to create what? Negative externality. So government is controlling it. It's creating pollution. Now, cracker industry in India has lost the business like anything over the period of time because government has put huge taxes and limit for them that you cannot go for sales beyond this or procurement beyond this. Negative externalities. So negative externalities, government tried to prohibit or put restrictions on. Maybe in terms of emission standard, maybe they go for fixing taxes. So that once you go for taxes, I've already shared, you see, you should understand there are two categories of cost. One is private cost and other is external cost. This private cost is borne by producer. And this external cost is borne by society in normal case. That means it leads to negative externality. Now to overcome this or to internalize this and to bring this here for the producer, government will go for imposing tax. Tax will be equal to external cost. So external cost equal to tax. That means tax plus private cost is the total price cost for the farm. And the cost goes up means the price goes up. Price goes up means that makes you to produce less. So negative externalities will reduce for sure. Either you work on innovation and reduce your external costs, or you have to pay tax. The tax increases, or you reduce pollution, or you reduce your external cost, so that you should not hamper society. So either you work on your negative externalities, or you go for paying tax, and that is what is the internalization of the cost component, right? Negative externalities, which is to that. So this is the graph. You can see how tax is not increasing private cost, tax is increasing total cost. Definitely. Tax invoices positive externality. Yes, definitely. Even Mancha, when those who pay tax regularly, Government of India giving them acknowledges them. So thank you for honest taxpayer. That is a factor which makes people to go for more and more positive externality. This is how many people are paying tax today. That makes them, wow, I'm getting certificate and acknowledgement. Why not to go for it? And similarly, Government of India merit good in terms of 75 years of India's independence. So Government of India promoting Azadi Ka Mahotsav, and where people are 75 years, so Government of India is promoting to make people write about Lori, write poem, write about some story, tell about those people who have sacrificed their life during independence, during the freedom fight of India. So that is how government is sensitizing people. If government will not intervene, people will not come to know about that those people who have sacrificed for a country, and this brings more unity in the country, so that people come more closer. That we have got independence, you start valuing your freedom. Otherwise, people take it for granted. And this leads to misuse also sometimes. That people think it's our birthright to be free. So whatever we have only rights, we have no duties allotted to us. So these are the things government intervene and make people understand. Okay, so what you were asking about how tax leads to, you can see here. So see what's happening here. What is happening here? You can see that what is the marginal social cost? Marginal social cost is C. What is marginal social benefit is A. What is happening in this case? Marginal social benefit is less than marginal social cost. Is it good? That means who is bearing, this is negative externality. Who is bearing the cost? Society is bearing the cost. And marginal private cost is this. Marginal social cost is high. So what is this about A-A? This is the external cost. Who is bearing this external cost? Who is bearing this external cost? This is leading to, this triangle is loss to society. Loss of welfare. Why is it happening? Because the marginal social benefit, social cost is higher. And this marginal social cost is higher than marginal private cost, marginal private cost. So marginal private cost is here, marginal social cost is here. So this is the gap. I should write this marginal private cost. That will make more sense for you to see. So marginal private cost is less than marginal social cost. So who is bearing this? Society is bearing this. This is loss. So let's say government goes for imposing tax equal to how much? A-A. So if this is the amount of tax imposed. Now, since this is the amount of tax imposed, what happens because of the tax? Humne padha hai. Tax leads to what? Increase in the price. So the price increases from P to P1. Since the price increases, what happens to output? What was happening here? What was happening here? Overproduction. Why overproduction? Because the marginal private cost was less than the marginal social cost and the benefit was more. So since the benefit were more and they were not bothered about private benefits were more, so they were not bothered about. So once the government imposes tax, output decreases. This social welfare loss gets vanished and the price goes up from P to P1. Why? Reason being, with the tax imposed, this external cost and the private cost together is the total cost for the firm. And since the total cost goes up, price goes up. Price goes up means output goes down. And this is the optimum allocation of resources. B is the optimum allocation of resources. A was overutilization or misuse of resources. That is the concept here. So government intervenes through taxes, and this brings balance here. Okay. So this is the concept. Now, I'm requesting this fellow Bhatnagar not to be there in my class henceforth, and I'm going to take a disciplinary action against him. So henceforth, I should not see you in my class ever. Do not come to the class. Nobody is compelling you. Why you are joining the class? Negative production externality is clear. Negative production externalities. What leads to negative production externalities? So because of the social cost goes up. Why? Because your cost of production is less. That makes you to produce surplus, which leads to production externalities. And to overcome that, there's a concept of corrective taxes. So you go for corrective taxes, and then you go for overcoming negative production externalities. And this is how you go for internalization of negative externalities with imposition of. What is internalization? The one who is emitting pollution should bear the cost. And the other fellow and the society should not bear the cost. So society's loss will be taken care through internalization of negative externality. Okay, so that's the concept. I hope it is clear. So why pollution tax is considered bad? We say that pollution tax can be measured to overcome. Do you think that pollution tax exactly helps to bring balance in terms of reducing pollution? Do you think exactly is it helping? See what can be the challenges here. If you have pollution tax, can you quantify that this industry is emitting this much pollution? And if you want to quantify that, you have to appoint certain people and government employees to go there and visit regularly. So if they have to go over there, visit regularly, what's going to happen because of that? You are incurring cost, you are incurring administrative cost. And if you are incurring administrative cost, then in that case, if you are not getting that kind of return, so cost incurred and the tax, you are not getting that much, and you suffer your government suffers because their cost goes up and the tax proceeds are not that much. So taxing polluters is a complex process. How to quantify that? How much is the tax? Is it on a continuous basis? Is it on a particular period of time? Is it changing over the period of time? Is it crossing the threshold limit frequently? How frequently is it causing the threshold limit? And how much impact it is making on society? So all those calculations have to be done. Is it so simple to do it? It's very difficult. So to those who are going for less pollution, how should we go for incentivizing them? What should be the component? What should be the strategy to decide about incentivizing them? So these challenges are there in the case of pollution tax. So that becomes very difficult. And that's why government did what? Government did. It gave guidelines to all automobile industries. You follow BS6 norms in your cars so that they go for emitting less pollution. Problem sorted. So they can do sometime like this. They can take care about controlling pollution. Otherwise, when you drive a car, you have to have a pollution certificate. So that is how they can ensure through this. So they can take care about these measures to sort out. But when the problem arises when you take care about big industries which are in remote and other places, and that makes a problem to quantify and then calculation of it. So that's a challenge, okay? In the terms of taxation calculation, administrative cost is too high. And you understand, if you have higher pollution tax in India, so suppose a foreign company wants to establish its unit in India, and you say that our pollution norms are this, and the moment you cross this limit, you will be liable to pay tax. So what happens? Foreign players, foreign companies, they will be reluctant to invest in India because they feel that we can invest in other country, we can start in other country where there will be less taxation and we can get benefit through that. So why will they go for investing in India? Okay, so sometimes it happens because of pollution tax. Country may lose employment, country may lose investments also. So pollution tax is not an easy thing to implement and sort out the problem. That is why I've given you one example, is that you do it through supplier only. So the producers only. So automobile companies, they have been told that you have to follow. All those other motor vehicles which are there, they have to follow pollution certificate norms. So that is how they, but problem arises in industries which are also majorly which are non-organized industries which are there. So very difficult it is to quantify that. And when it comes to foreign players, those who want to invest in India, that's also a challenge. Okay, so they have adopted another method to go for controlling pollution. That is known as cap and trade. Cap and trade is, cap means fix the limit, fix the upper limit, and then go for trade. So what they have done, they've gone for giving permits. Okay, and this has happened in Gujarat. Gujarat has implemented this in 2019, tradable permits. So what exactly they do? There are a group of industries. Let's say they are in textile industries. So textile industries are a group of industries. Okay, so there are seven firms working here in this textile segment. So they have been given that you can go for emitting pollution to this limit, let's say 100 decibels, and over and above, if you go for, then you have to use your permit. So permit is applicable up to this. If you go for over and above, then you have to go for paying the price. So what they did, government has given fixed number of permits to all the 7 players here. And if they go for anything over and above, then in that case, they have to use their permit. They have to pay the price for that. Now there can be 2 strategies. One set of players out of 7, 3 of them goes for green. So those who go for green, they have their permits, which they are not going to use it because they already are following green. So they do not want to use it. They can sell it to other 4. And if those 4 firms are emitting more and more pollution, then in that case, they need more and more permits. But since permits are limited, what will happen to the price of permit? The price of permit will go up. And the price of permit goes up means their cost of production will go up. So this automatically brings balance here. So that's the beauty of cap and trade. Cap and trade. Okay, so you can see this example here. Okay, Pooja, I'll go slow. I'll share once again. Okay. We are saying cap and trade. Cap and trade is what? There is a limit which is fixed and then you can trade. So first you go through this, that will help you understand. Agar nahi aayega, then I'll share again. Okay. Cap and trade, or otherwise I'll share once again. Since Pooja is saying, so I'll share once again and then we'll take a break. Okay. I'll go slow. Okay. So basically what's happening here, cap and trade, is that tradable permits. What are tradable permits? These permits you can trade. So let's say there's a textile industry in Gujarat. Textile industries. Okay. These textile industries, we are saying they're 7 in number. Okay. These textile industries are 7 in number. 7 firms are working. Government has given 50 permits. Okay, 50 permit government has given. Now these 50 permits are divided between these players. They can use it, these permits. Or let's say, chaliye 7 le lete hain to make it simple. So government has gone for 7 permits, has given 7 permits. Okay, 7 permits given to 7 firms. And these permits are that you are permitted to go for emitting this much of pollution. Let's say 100 is the limit. If you go over and above, then you have to use your permit. Aapka permit debit ho jayega. Okay, so the number of permits are limited. Now, out of these 7, let's say 4 of them are highly pollutant firms, and 3 of them are green. Out of 7, 4 are polluting firm and 3 are green. Now those who are green, these are green. These green firms, what is going to happen for green firm? They do not require permit. They do not require permit. Okay, so what they'll do, they'll sell their permit to those 4 firms. They can sell their permit to 4 firms and they can get money through that. So since they are green, they do not require this. And other 4 which are emitting pollution, they need permit. They have already used theirs. Now they need more. So they'll borrow from them. They'll pay them price. Now once they pay them price, and if they keep on emitting pollution, they need more and more. So because the number of permits are 7 only. Now since the number of permits cannot be increased, price increase hota jayega. So the price will keep on increasing of these permits because the demand is between these 4 players and the number of permits are limited. So what is going to happen because of this? Since the price of permit goes up, their cost will go up. Their cost goes up means their price of production will go up. Price of production goes up means they lose business. Their profit will go down. So what these firms will do, these 4 firms will do, they'll also go for green. Because they are losing because of this. So that's the beauty of cap and trade. In cap and trade, it automatically, is the government required to intervene here? Permit de diya, baat khatam. This they are monitoring it. They're not supposed to chase that how much is the cost incurred. They have to monitor it on a regular basis. Nothing they have to do it. So you see this case will make you further understand. Okay, Pooja, I hope ab samajh mein aa gaya aapko. Okay, so Indian state of Gujarat, aapko pata hai Gujarat is one of the states in India, has launched they had launched first emission trading system. Okay, 2019 mein inhone trading system start kiya. That was to take care about pollution. Okay, and they did it with Harvard, Yale, Chicago. Okay, they did it with Harvard and Yale, Chicago University professor was there who helped them. They did research and they did it in Gujarat. They started this in Gujarat. Or isme academicians, industry and the government, a whole lot of people were there. So they did program. That was what market-based system. Market-based system means let the price be decided through the market forces, demand and supply. We have shared who created demand. Those 4 industries were creating demand. Who were creating supply? Who were creating supply? Those 3 firms were creating supply for them to give permit. Overall supply was created by whom? By government. So this is market-based system where the government sets a cap on emission. Limit fixed kar diya, you cannot go for beyond this emission. And allow industries to buy and sell permits. You can buy and sell permits so that you remain below the cap. The moment you reach to the cap, and if you're going to cross it, you have to have permit. Then only you can go for it. And for that, what you need, you have to buy it from somewhere because number of permits are limited. So if the number of permits are limited, prices will go up. So similarly, this will lead to what? The same thing happened in US and it resulted in acid rain. So that is negative production externalities, you see. So they have started this in Surat. So in Surat, which is a densely industrial center. So this was an industrial sector and where there were textile and dye mills. And these dye mills releases air pollution. Because of this air pollution, so air pollution is what? Negative externalities created by textile and dye mills. And what was happening because of this? The cost was going up, social cost was going up, leading to loss of social welfare. Government intervened. What they did? They started market-based approach to regulate pollution emission. How did they did it? So the emission trading program was built up by Gujarat Power Corporation, and they monitored this emission. Okay, and they tracked industry. Itna karna tha unko. They had to give permit and they had to monitor them on real time. So they could monitor them on the real time basis. What is the level of pollution? So there were 350 industries in Surat, in textile and dye mills, which were creating pollution, air pollution, and they were monitored through the monitoring system on the real time. समझते हैं ना? Real time basis, 24/7, to take care about emission norms. Okay, they used technology and they could monitor that. And what was the impact of that? Because of this, emission trading helped to reduce pollution. Obviously, number of permits limited है, आपको बता दिया. So the number of permits are limited. So the price went up, and the price went up means cost went up. That made industries to be more green. That motivated them to be more green. And once they became more green, pollution level decreased, reasonable cost. And environment regulation could be taken care like this. So cap and trade helped to reduce pollution in Surat, in the textile industry and dye mills because of this market-based model. And it helped to reduce sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide the way it did it in US. So what are the benefits of tradable permits? How it helps? What are the negative impact of pollution? So air pollution leads to human health. It is a threat to human health. It decreases life of people. It leads to communicable diseases. Okay. Similarly, like other factors like cigarette smoking and other factors, it adversely impacts quality of life index. Okay, so these are the factors. It reduces life by 2 years. So if you're going to stay 90 years, you will stay less than that. 88 years आप survive करेंगे in that case. So your life expectancy goes down. So cap and trade program helped government to overcome the problem of pollution in Surat by real-time monitoring and issuing permits. These permits are tradable and they have a cap fixed, upper limit fixed. That is why it is known as cap and trade program. Okay, so permits are sold off for profit. Those green firms will sell it for profit. To whom? To pollutant firm. They gain and they lose. It's a loss to them. Cap puts the control on pollution. Maximum permit limit fixed as 7. So you cannot go beyond that. So pollution limit is fixed. Helps to decide the price of the pollution. Price goes up. If polluting firms want more and more, then in that case, price will go up of permits. Administrative cost reduces because once they have put technology, machines and equipment, they can monitor them. It leads to innovative production. These firms which are more polluting, they'll also try to become green. Carbon emission will reduce, pollution cost will reduce, and it gets internalized. Yahin pe settle hogi sari cost. It will not go to society. That's the impact of cap and trade. Okay. Okay, so we'll take a break and then we'll start after 10 minutes. Okay, we'll start after 10 minutes. I'm taking a break. Let's find that. Okay. So what we have shared, I believe there was one query related to this question regarding the point number 6. Okay, so I'm sharing point number 6 again. Pollution cost internalization basically means what? Internalization basically means that we have shared, no? So suppose a company is A, this is company A, okay? This is textile industry firm in the textile segment, and they are emitting air pollution, and they have got a permit. They have got a permit which limits their emission of harmful gases in the air. So air pollution limit has been fixed. Okay, so how much they can emit is fixed. That's a cap. Okay, that's a cap. Now, if they go over and above, then in that case, they have to buy permit. That means they buy permit means they have to incur cost. If they have to incur cost, that means their private cost plus the cost of permit increases their total cost. If the total cost increases, price will increase. Price increases means their profit margin will reduce. Profit margin reduces means their output will reduce. Hence, to become sustainable, what they have to do, they have to work to make this more green. If they make this green through technological innovation, then in that case, they will be working on their permit cost. If they can work on their permit cost, their total cost will reduce. Their price will become less. Their profit will go up. They can gain output. What are they doing? Are they passing on this pollution cost to the society? Our industries in this segment are passing on the cost to society? No. They have created this pollution and they are bearing that pollution cost. That is internalization. Okay? Is it clear, Rishabh? Okay, so anyways, we have shared this. I hope it is clear to Rishabh. But what's the biggest challenge here? Challenge is that you are the industry which is in the segment where the demand is inelastic. So we have shared what happens because of the permit cost goes up. If the permit cost goes up, your total cost goes up. Your total cost goes up means your price goes up. But if you are in a segment where higher price, consumers are ready to take this higher price. So they are ready to pay high price. If they are ready to pay high price, that means these consumers have inelastic demand. Inelastic demands aante na, price goes up and still your demand is not getting impacted. So price is going up, still the demand, consumer is ready to pay high price. Now, if consumer is paying the price, is the producer bearing the cost? No. They are getting it from the consumer. Since they are getting it from the consumer, how are they bothered about? They are not bothered. So this will be disincentivizing them to work on green. If they are in segment with segment, in the segment where the demand of their good is inelastic. So then it becomes ineffective. Okay, so which scenario it becomes ineffective where the demand is inelastic? If the demand is inelastic, you, the producer, are not bothered about cost because your cost is transferred in the terms of price and price consumer is ready to pay for that. जैसे आप देखिए cigarettes का price up and up and up is going up only. But those who have inelastic demand for cigarette, they still buy. They buy at high price. So is ITC bearing the cost for this? Is no. Consumer is bearing the cost. So why should they be bothered about? Let the tax rate go up, goes up and up. It's passed on to the consumer for. So then in that case, the permit becomes ineffective. Then there will be no internalization of the cost. Okay. So that's the concept which you have to remember. Okay. So further, what we are sharing is we had shared that positive production externality case and positive consumption externality case also government has to intervene. Why government has to intervene? Because in the case of positive production externalities, there is underproduction. we have shared education, health sector, and consumption externality leads to underconsumption, because if you see the benefits of waste disposal, segregating dry and wet waste. There's immense benefit of that, and it leads to consumption externality. But how many people are doing it? Very few people are doing it. And any private player will come and say that we want to charge from you to segregate this waste, wet and dry. Will you go for it? Never ever. So government is intervening. How government is intervening? Government is sending messages. Government is sensitizing people. Government is taking care about, as a supplier. How supplier? They are sending those MCD vehicles. There are people, MCD workers, those who are coming, they are taking garbage from your doorstep. They are segregating it into wet and dry. They are taking it to the destination where they are going for recycling and everything. So this is how. Okay, so in the case of positive consumption or production externalities, government need to intervene, because allocation of resources is not optimum. There's not efficient allocation of resources. So what's the role of the government? Government promotes positive externalities with policy implementations. Okay, government promotes positive externalities with policy implementations, and government promote positive externalities through offering subsidies. So government offers subsidies, and then in that case, it promotes positive production externalities, and government offers incentives where they promote positive externalities. Okay. So subsidies helps, like I've told you, education. If you're in education segment and you want to promote education, higher education, rural education, primary education. So if you want to go for a school, then in that case, if you want to buy land, then land will be available at a subsidized price, The land given to you at subsidized price. Obviously, your cost goes down, you promote schools. But if you go for making mall or some real estate, like in terms of commercial property, then in that case, the tax rate will be higher. Okay, so tax rate will be higher. So this is how they work for promoting subsidies or policy implementations. Those who go for startups, those who go for promoting financial literacy will go for giving them benefit here. So this is how they work. Okay, so if you look at this graph here, what is this graph depicting here? Can you see this graph? Am I audible? Yes. Yes. Okay, so you can see here this graph. What do you see in this graph? There are two sides of the graph, okay? So if you see the left panel, what do you see in the left panel? You see marginal private benefit, marginal social benefit, and this is the price. So this is the price of education, and this is the quantity of education. QE is the quantity of education. So QE is the quantity of education, and PE is the price of education. Okay, so P is the price of education, Q is quantity. Now, what do you see in this graph on the left side? You see that equilibrium is at A. At A, where the price is PE, quantity is QE. And education is a merit good, because if a child is educated, that means the family will be educated, especially if a girl child is educated, then in that case, mother will be educated, kids will be educated, family will be educated, and this will lead to multiple benefit to the society, isn't it? So education is a merit good, but in still quantity of education, demand for education, and the supply of education is QE. Ideally, optimum is at this point, QS trick. So this point, I'm sorry, this is the optimum point. So what is the gap here? AB is the gap. AB is gap. That means
marginal social benefit is less. Okay, it is less. And marginal private benefit is here. So that means the gap here between the marginal private benefit, the gap between marginal social benefit and marginal private benefit is the gap. And to meet this gap, this is loss. So this triangle BAC is loss. Is the welfare loss, this triangle. Why is it happening? Because if you imagine school is there in rural India and it is offered at price, let's say 100 rupees. Okay, so this is, thank you, Prabhas. So if this is offered at 100 rupees, then in that case, few people are going for it. But if the government goes for offering subsidy on education, so you want to study, you can go for, so this is the subsidy offered. This is the level of subsidy offered. We should write something here. This is, let's say, D point. Okay, this is D. So CD is the component, subsidy is offered by the government. Once the subsidy is offered by the government, then what happens? The price decreases for you, the consumer. So let's say government offers 40 rupees subsidy. So price was 100 rupees. Ab aapko kitna cost kar raha hai? This is costing you 60 rupees. So it is costing you 60 rupees. 40 rupees is government subsidies. Okay, government is giving subsidy, means you will pay only 60, rest 40 will be paid by government. So government is paying 40 rupees and price initially was 100. So this gap here, 40 rupees is paid by government. What happens because of that? More people will join. Education gets subsidized, people join. Demand increases from QE to Q dash. Price in the market is P. But who pays this price here? The price goes up. Government will take care through subsidies. So here what is happening? Marginal social benefit will be equal to marginal social cost. There will be no externalities here. Otherwise, it's a loss. It's a loss. This is loss. So how was it possible? How they had increased this demand? How, despite the increase in price, people have gone for higher education? Reason being, government has offered subsidy. Government intervention. Okay, so this is how government takes care about. That is why you see government goes for offering. Second chart. Okay, Mukta. I'll erase it and explain again once again. Simple concept याद रखिए. Education की बात कर रहे हैं. Education is a merit good. You understand why is it merit good? Because education has multiple benefits and it is excludable. Those who can pay, they can avail. Those who cannot pay, they cannot avail. And that is why this becomes difficult for poor people to have education. One, they do not feel like that our child should be educated. Secondly, if the price is higher, what they believe is higher, they don't want to be educated. So what government will say, suppose the price here is 100 rupees, okay? The price is 100 rupees. Quantity, number of students who are going to school are, let's say, 40 students. Ideally, 60 students should go to school. Now, this gap of 20 students is because of the price here. And this is leading to this loss, ABC loss. So what government will do? Government has to overcome this gap here, this AB gap here. How government will overcome this AB gap? Government will say, we'll subsidize this much. So government is going to subsidize. So government has offered subsidy. Now what has happened after subsidy? This is the new demand which is there. Initially, आपकी demand क्या थी? This was the demand. Now the new demand is so this is the new demand. And how this new demand was possible? This new demand was possible because of the subsidy offered. So output, the number of students who got registered increased to 60 plus. That is good. Price increase from P to P. But this price is not paid by students. This is paid by whom? By government. Actually, students are paying PS strict. So price may be 100 rupees. They are paying, let's say, 60 rupees. They're just paying 60 rupees. The gap here is paid by 120. Let's say this is 120. So the gap here of 60 and 120, 60 rupees government is given in the form of subsidies. So at this point, marginal social benefit is equal to marginal social cost. And how was it possible? It was only possible because government offered subsidy. So government offers happy day meal. Government offered happy day meal, McDonald's. It is about midday meal. So they offer midday meal and other things. They offer books. They offer sometimes uniform to students. So these are the kind of things which incentivize students to go for higher education. Okay. So this is consumption, positive externality, absolutely right. But it is not happening, Mansha. Reason being, this leads to low level of consumption because people are not ready to pay the price for this, what is quoted in the market. And that gap here, this market failure is taken care by government through offering subsidies. इसीलिए आप देखिए midday meal offer करते हैं. They offer them clothes, they offer them other things, incentivize them. So if you'll go for higher education, we'll give you scholarship. Such kind of things make this demand curve shift towards right and helps to promote merit goods. Okay, this about merit goods. So government intervention for merit goods is because education is socially desirable. Many girls, they suffer from anemia, iron deficiency, because rural India, nobody, even in urban India, nobody is bothered about health of the girl child. So government of India is sensitizing people. They are distributing them those iron medicines so that they can gain iron and they should not suffer from anemia, which can hamper their growth and health in future. So the merit goods, these are merit goods which are socially desirable. We want healthy kids. We want healthy girl child. We want educated people in India. That should only not be privilege of people, those who can pay for it, but for the other set of people also. So consumption to be promoted. So they want that merit good consumption should be promoted. People should go for more education. They should go for more research. They should go for more innovation, merit goods. But these are rivals because those who can pay price, they can avail it. People are excluded. If one set of people, they go to better schools, then others will be deprived of that. There's limited supply because the price at which education is offered, only some people can afford to go. Achhi education ke liye aapko paisa chahiye. And if you do not have money, you cannot sustain. So that is why government intervenes. You are blessed that ICI is not charging money from you to that extent. Baki aap dekhiye, medical colleges and so others are so expensive. Private medical colleges are so expensive. If a child wants to go for medical education, so expensive. So those students who cannot afford to go to private colleges, they go to public colleges by scoring good marks and they get at subsidized price. Not only they get benefits in education, unko incentives bhi milte hain. They get salary also for the time being. So this is how they take care about it. Okay, so such underproduction and underconsumption merit good activities can be taken care by government intervention. Fifth point. Market mechanism restricts social welfare. Market mechanism, what is market mechanism? Market mechanism is a game of price and demand. Those consumers who create demand, they can pay the price for it, and to them only will go for giving education. Remember private goods? Private goods are this only. And that is why market mechanism restricts social welfare. Because the price, if you're not getting the price, then in that case, why should we give education to rural people? So that restricts the welfare. Private players, they only want to go for private schools जो हैं वो ही schools हैं जहाँ पे उनको पता है they'll get a price, they'll get fees. Their parents are capable of paying fees. And for them only that school is there with a whole lot of facilities. But will they go to remote India and go for establishing the same kind of infrastructure and facilities and offer at subsidized fees? Will they do it? They'll never do it. But what is the fault of people staying in remote India? Is their fault? No. It leads to social welfare, restricts social welfare, because you do not want to go for supplying this services at such a low price. That is why government has to take the charge. इसीलिए देखिए आप government hospitals होते हैं. Why government hospitals are there? Same concept. Health is a merit good. It is socially desirable. Healthy people are more productive. It's good for the country. But there's limited supply of services, health services provided. Because the health services, if they want to cater, it involves cost, and they do not want to go for this because those set of people, those who want to use, they cannot pay that price. Why should we go for that? And that is why it restricts social welfare. Okay, Mukta, is it clear? Okay, so you can see the next graph. What we have shared, the price attached in education. If healthcare services are free, healthcare is merit good, isn't it? If there is a price, 0.5, Mukta, you can see here, if there is a price attached to healthcare services, what happens because of that? Price is, let's say, 50 rupees price you have to pay. So the demand, let's say, is 60 units. So 60 patients will go when the price is 50 rupees. So that's the point here, A. Okay. Now suppose government gives free health services, free healthcare services. What happens? Demand goes up to 120 because now it is available at zero price. This much is what? This QAD this QAD is what? This is loss. And that is what is 0.5. Okay, so 0.5 is about this only loss. Is it clear? So that's the loss for, if it is available at zero price, then this can be overcome. Otherwise, it leads to loss. Okay, so that's the concept here. I hope it is clear. So health services, when the government, vaccination mein aap dekhiye, government has gone for free. If they would have said that we'll charge for it, 50 rupees per vaccine, you think people would have gone for those set of people, those who have gone for vaccination? Other people have paid 900 also. They have gone to private hospital and they have paid 900 also. Queue mein kaun lagega? It's better to go for going in the private hospital and pay the price. People have paid 1,000 also. Some people have, those who cannot afford to go for 1,000, they have gone for free. So they have started in queue. They have waited for their turn. They had to book online. When they got chance, then they had gone for it. So this is how. Okay, so when government provides merit good, it leads to economies of scale. It helps, it reduces average cost. It is at a low price. It leads to extreme positive externalities. It increases, you have seen people got vaccinated and how it increased their efficiency. It generated positive externalities, so that is the benefit. What about demerit goods? If they are demerit goods, they are definitely not desirable. They generate negative externalities. Cryptocurrency, I hope you agree with me. Yes, Mukta. So it is at 50, but the point is that it is at 50 because it is by market. If market, it is not market driven. If the government will take the charge and gives free, then only you can reach here. No. So because of the market, you are here. Okay. Okay, demerit good. We have shared demerit good in the case of cryptocurrency. Aap dekhiye, perfect example for you youngsters. People have lost huge amount of money. That generated negative externality. Private cost was less than social cost. It's your parents might have suffered. The market has suffered because of that. Those people have invested. Valuation has gone down like anything. So social cost is impacted here. Then the marginal social cost is greater than the price of the good. So the social cost incurred is high and the price is less. That's the impact here. But we cannot say steel is demerit good, it is socially undesirable, though it leads to negative externality. So if you go for steel production, it creates pollution. That's bad. But it is not socially undesirable. So what's your take? All demerit goods are not socially undesirable. So this is not a condition always, okay? It varies depending upon which. But yes, negative externalities are there. Private cost is less than the social cost, definitely, in these kind of demerit goods. And marginal social cost is greater than the price. So price basically is less and the social cost is high. That is negative externalities we have already shared. Okay, now, so you see this, definitely, Mancha, water. बिल्कुल जसप्रीत, you're right. Food given in आंगनवाड़ी, मेरे ख्याल से मिड डे मील ही कहते हैं इसको. I think so, जसप्रीत. Midday meal only. Okay, water and electricity are merit goods. Absolutely, water and electricity are merit goods, but the way people are using it, it is adversely impacting. So there is, that's why government has to intervene. Government has to intervene. Okay, so now we are talking about demerit good. Now, what should government do to control demerit good? जैसे आपने cryptocurrency में देखा, they have imposed 30% taxation. So once you impose taxation, then in that case, it refrains people to go for it. And then they say it is not acceptable in India. We are not going to accept it. You can take it as your digital assets. Otherwise, you cannot use it for any other thing. So that is what. So demerit good government tries to discourage. What do? They fix a minimum price. Minimum price means this is the price below which you cannot go for quoting these goods. So what do you see in this graph? Can you see in this graph? नहीं अंकुर, बिल्कुल नहीं. National income तो नहीं increase करता cryptocurrency. Okay, so if you see in this graph, what do you see in this graph? Let's say that you are here, okay? So you are here at point B. You can see at point B. So marginal private benefit is this B and marginal social benefit is C. What is happening here? In demerit goods, a smoker smoking in public place is at B and people standing close to him or her adversely getting impact in terms of their lungs are here C. What's happening here? Marginal private benefit is this visible or shall I change the color? Marginal social benefit. Marginal private benefit is greater than marginal social. So who is bearing the cost here? This BC is what? I'll change the color. Okay. Sorry, I'm ahead of this. Okay, so this we have done, demerit good we have done. Yes, we were here. So you can see here, what is this depicting here? Okay. So this is what? This is loss. Isn't it? This is loss because marginal social benefit is less than marginal private benefit. So it's a loss. Okay, so in this case, this is a loss. Okay, so this loss, this triangle ABC depicts loss. Now to overcome this loss, what government will do? Government will say demerit goods. चाहे आप alcohol लें, चाहे आप cigarettes लें. So they have gone for fixing this below P1 price. Let's say they are selling at 80 rupees. They say that you cannot sell below 160 rupees. You cannot sell below 160 rupees. This is the minimum price. You cannot sell below 160. You cannot sell below 160. What's going to happen? This will shift from C to A. Equilibrium will shift from C to A. Marginal private benefit will reduce and marginal social benefit gap will reduce. So to overcome externalities here, this loss to overcome, government is going to fix minimum price. You cannot sell below this. And this price will always be greater than equilibrium price. And this is how they can reduce the consumption of alcohol from Q to Q1. So alcohol, number one, is a demerit good. Number two, the one who consumes derive higher benefit, so-called higher benefit, than the impact on the society. And to overcome this loss here, government will go for fixing minimum price. And because of this minimum price, the quantity consumption of alcohol will reduce. So that's the concept. Absolutely right, Neerav. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. अभी वेनेजुला कैसे बात करें बेटा शैलेश अभी तो वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस लास्ट क्लास में बात करेंगे डू रिमाइंड मी ओके विल टॉक इन द एंड अभी तो डिविएशन हो जाएगा टॉपिक से ओके सो गवर्नमेंट इंटरवेंशन फॉर दिस इज क्लियर इज इट क्लियर social benefit. So for alcohol, cigarettes में आप देखिए they go for fixing higher. Even in GST we have taken GST आपने पढ़ा है तो demerit goods, GST demerit goods, they go for fixing it in the highest bracket, isn't it? Bracket. So that if it goes in the highest bracket, consumption will shift towards left. So less people will be consuming, less quantity consumed means less impact. Okay. So government intervention for public good. And public good problem is, what is the public good problem? Basically, public good problem is they are non-excludable. You cannot exclude people to go for consuming. This leads to free rider problem. So public parks we have shared, the problem is there in public parks. So you have public parks where people go, anybody can come, anybody can go. But if you go to water parks and other, then you have to pay the price, and those who can pay the price, they can only go. So there are people whom you can exclude. Okay, and since people are not excludable, anybody can go, they may misuse place. You have seen certain public parks, people go for plucking of those leaves, and sometimes people go to public monument and over there they scribble, they write all nonsense. So these kind of thing, people do it, they think that it's their property and they can use it the way they want it. And then in that case, it leads to market failure because the government has to maintain that. So government takes care about that. by intervening. Either they outsource to some people, those who take care about this, or they have to monitor themselves. The government has to intervene to maintain public good. Pure public goods, what are pure public goods? Pure public good where you cannot have any, you cannot exclude people, you cannot create, but then in that case, you have to take care about. So for example, I say that Delhi air, Delhi quality air, you cannot exclude people. You cannot exclude people. Can you exclude people? You cannot roam around. You cannot do anything. You cannot. But then in that case, government has to take measure. If you will go for not taking care about your vehicle, or you will play music at a louder pitch or whatever it is about, then in that case, you will be penalized. Okay, so this is how they go for imposing taxes and restrict such kind of activities and overcome the problem of free rider. So entry fees can be there. They can go for entry fees. We have seen in many cases, just say, you have seen in the cases of impure public good entry, just say public parks are there. Sometimes they go for fixing some. I believe Qutub Minar, अगर आप दिल्ली में हैं तो Qutub Minar अगर आप गए हैं, so they go for charging certain amount of money, some basic amount of money, so that generates tax revenue, and it helps to take care about that monument and other things. And people also value that we are paying some price, so let's go for and enjoy, and that helps them maintaining. Sometimes they issue license also, just like aap dekhiye Delhi Metro and metro in different cities, so they go for taking care about licensing, and that makes other person accountable to take care about those services, where you can exclude by entry fees. But services like defense services, atomic energy, airport security, these services are taken care by government in terms of public good, because these are for mass, and they cannot take the risk of giving it to any private player. Okay, so that's the difference. Defense, they have gone for strategic alliance in terms of those arms and ammunitions, but the basic control of defense and decision making is all with government. Okay, so that's how it differentiates. ISRO is through atomic energy. ISRO is taking care about this in terms of NASA. So in the non-market pricing where you say that we do not practice market pricing, where you feel that the market-driven price is not correct, that is known as price which is not matching up with the market, but you are supposed to go for it because it is bringing market failure. Okay, so agar aapko minimum support price ka concept pata hai, so you can see here minimum support price. There was farm bill introduced, and people were had protested against this. Absolutely, just people are not taking care. Kaun sa chart beta? Which chart you're talking about? This one, Surya. I'll share once again. I've already shared. You should understand simple concept of people, those who go for demerit goods. Number one, demerit good, you should understand demerit goods are not good for people. It leads to negative externalities. And it is available at a lower price to the set of people, those who derive immense benefit by it. So the marginal private benefit is more than people suffer. So those people, those who go for liquor, alcohol, they can get at a very low price also, low quality also. But once they consume, they abuse, they harass people in the family, their income of the family gets adversely affected, kids, they suffer, wife suffers, parents suffer, everybody is going to suffer. Not only they, nearby people also may suffer. So this is social cost involved. Okay, so social cost is huge. Then the cost incurred by the private cost incurred to buy that bottle of liquor. And that leads to ABC loss to the society. And to overcome that ABC loss, government is going to fix minimum price. Minimum price Please do not get confused. Minimum price means you cannot sell below this. Maximum kuch bhi ho sakta hai, but minimum cannot be below this. So minimum price they fix, and this price is always over and above the equilibrium price. You can see here, equilibrium price is P, but the price fixed is P1. That's why I've written 80 and 160. So since the price fixed is on the higher side, that makes to go for less consumption, because then in that case, marginal private benefit will reduce, and that will match up to the. Then there's another problem here. In such a case, if people have inelastic demand, then in that case, it will not make impact. So that you have to see. Otherwise, I believe some states have totally banned alcohol. But uske baad bhi black to hote hi hai. There's black marketing of this. Anyways, so we are talking about price intervention. Non-market pricing means, what do you mean by non-market pricing? Non-market pricing means the price which is different than the market-driven price. Okay, so you can see here, this is the demand curve. This is the demand curve. And this is the supply curve. And this is the equilibrium price, isn't it? So let's say this is A. So this point A, this is the equilibrium price. 75 rupees is the equilibrium price. And quantity is this Q. Okay. Now government is going to fix the minimum support price. This is very true in the case of agriculture. So let's say a farmer has produced wheat. Market mein wheat ka price quoted is 75 per unit. Okay. But this 75 per unit for a farmer is very less. Because what happens in, if you have any understanding of the agriculture production, what happens in agriculture production, if farmers are producing, whole lot of farmers will be producing wheat. Okay, so all farmers produce wheat, then in that case, what is going to happen? There will be surplus production, crop will be in bulk. This surplus production leads to what? Price goes down. Price goes down means the price quoted is 75 rupees. And if you are a poor farmer, you cannot go to mandi, so you sell it in between only here and you get 75 rupees. So what government has done, government says that we'll give you support price. We'll support you by giving you price. And this price is over and above. So we'll give you 150 rupees for your wheat. Market you're getting 75, we'll give you 150. Now once government says 150 will give you, what happens? Farmers will be motivated to produce wheat, no? Because they are getting 150, they are assured that whatever may be the price in the market, humko to 150 milega hi milega. So that is the price floor concept, minimum support price. Very good example of agriculture. If you know about the crisis which happened recently, and that was a classic case of government failure, when government had gone for farm bill, and people, farmers of Punjab and some states had protested. They didn't allow to go for this farm bill, and that was to safeguard farmers, but they could not implement. Critical case of government failure, farm bill. Okay. Yes, price floor and price ceiling is done by government only. Government can only do. So alcohols may, they'll fix it higher, and they'll fix it here. For the farmers, they'll fix it higher. Okay, so this is how they go for it. Now the other case you can take is price ceiling. Price ceiling is opposite of price flooring. Okay, price floor and price ceiling is just opposite. Price floor mein aapne kya kiya? You have fixed the price over and above the market price. Price ceiling is you fix the lower price than the market price. What do you see in this case? What is the market price? Market price is 150, but you have quoted 75. This is done rent control. Rent control, agar aapko pata ho. In the case of rent control, what the government did? Government said rent for the this particular commercial area, you cannot go for fixing over and above rupees 75. Market rate is 150, but you cannot go for fixing 75. So price ceiling is the lower price than the market price. Market price should have been 150. This is market price. But price ceiling is at 75. So this is the opposite of price floor. Why do they do it? Rent control, why should they do it? Because set of people who cannot afford to buy a house, they should get commercial property at rent, and to get the commercial property at rent, it should be offered at lower price. Then only they will be afford to have it. So what happens when the price goes down? Demand goes up. You see, the demand ideally should be Q1, but the demand here goes to Q2. Why this increase in demand here? Because the price has gone down from 150 to 75. So those people who want to take property on rent, they can get at 75. Market mein unko 150 mil raha hai, but they can get at 75. So why not? The demand will increase from this Q1 to Q2. So the demand goes up. So what's the takeaway here? When the price ceiling is there, then the demand will be more. Why? Because the price ceiling leads to price which is less than the market price. And this is core government intervention to take care about welfare of the people, those who cannot afford to have at 150 rupees. Price at the minimum support, in that case, price floor, what is happening? The price is fixed, reverse ho jayega. This will be the price and they'll go for quoting with respect to higher price they give them. So here they go for a lower price, over there they go for a higher price. Okay, so this is how government takes care about. Then government also takes care about sensitizing people. We have shared through information. So government gives information to people that tobacco companies are supposed to share on cigarettes. They have to share. I don't know, you people have seen at many places they go for putting billboards where they write about person suffering from lung cancer, person suffering from throat cancer because of having cigarettes. Then on the packet of cigarette, people have to make that image mandatory as such, and they have to write it as injurious to health. So this is to sensitize people towards demerit goods. That is mandatory by government to take care. Similarly, on mutual funds, you might have seen those who go for mutual funds. They say mutual funds are subject to market risk. Because people should know when they are investing their money in mutual funds, if the market is going to change, rates will going to change, your returns will change. So these are the guidelines which are given, which companies which are listed. Yes, absolutely, Shailesh. Companies, those who are listed on exchange, aapko pata hai, they have to go for disclosure norms. So they have to share disclosure norms. They have to maintain their annual report. They have to go for having their balance sheet and accounts, all details, annual reports in it is available to all. They can go through it. Because people should know for listed company, because listed company, your money is there. And stockholders' money is there, so the company is accountable to make them understand. But the company which is not listed, they can forego from these kind of activities. So these are some measures government has taken to intervene for the welfare of people. Okay, so they can go for sensitizing people through different means. So financial products, they should take care about giving you right kind of information. Similarly, for insurance company, they're supposed to give all guidelines to you before you enter into insurance. So these are advertisement companies are responsible for not going for any misleading bias. So companies, you remember Fair and Lovely case, which was highly controversial because they said that you can become fair by using this particular cream, which is not exactly true. So they had to change that because that can lead to problem. Similarly, you eat cookies and other things where they talk about the component that it has these many calories. So people should know about it before you consume, though they write in a very minor font. That's a marketing gimmicks, but they are following the disclosure norms as per the norms which are given. Okay, so disclosure norms for companies and others. And this is the last component which I want to discuss. Bilkul, bilkul, Mansha, can be corrected to this. Okay, so the last component is, you remember we had shared public finance में equitable distribution with income distribution, redistribution. So poor people and rich people, the gap between the two should be reduced. Regional inequality should be reduced. Okay, so they do it through progressive income tax. Progressive income tax, you understand? See, if in a country that if people, there are different slabs, no? There are different slabs of income tax. Isme aapko 25%, 10%, and so on, no tax you have to pay, okay? So let's say if you go for this category, then in that case, who will pay this? Then corporate mein aapko corporate tax higher and higher you have to pay. So those people, those who are in a higher income bracket, they will pay this tax, follow in this tax slab. Those who are in a lower income level, they'll follow in this, and those who are at the lowest income level, they'll follow in this. Now, this is country's scenario, okay? So in India, if more and more people are in this category, then what will happen? Government tax proceeds will reduce. Okay, so government wants to distribute income equally. So what they'll do, they'll tax these people. They'll tax these people, and whatever tax proceeds they'll get from them, that will be used to give them subsidies. That will be given them in terms of allowances. And these measures, where do they take these measures? These measures are taken in budget. So progressive taxation is higher the higher level income, higher income bracket you fall, and that income proceeds of the government increases, which goes to the poor set of people. That is how. So budgetary allocation to give tax relief or to impose higher tax. Where to give subsidies, where to give interest reductions. Social security scheme. So government offers people. Government offered insurance to people. 1 rupee premium insurance deti hai government to farmers and others. They go for crop insurance of those farmers. So that is what they're taking care of. They offer social security, pension scheme and others. Government recently has started this old age pension to people, those who are from the private sector. They do not get the pension from the government. So LIC will go for that, and where you have to go for paying in one go. And then over the period of time, you will be getting successive income. So this is how government takes care about. Government goes for giving to farmers crop insurance, premium 1 rupee, and they safeguard them for 5 lakh amount they can get through this. They get job reservation, different set of people, those who are deprived over the period of time. Some people get unemployment allowances. This is not so common in India, but yes, US, they do it. India, they do it for specific set of people. Okay. Absolutely, absolutely. Bilkul, RTI can be one. Okay, so that's it for this. And government failure, I already shared. So it's not always true that if government is intervening, it will always do the correct thing. Government can also fail. So this was a classic case of government failure. Agar aapne padha hai Farm Bill law, so you know this was good initiative of Government of India. But there was asymmetry of information for whom it was meant. It was not clearly communicated to them, and they didn't realize this, and that there was some political issues also, which created problem. Government had wasted a whole lot of money, gone, time gone, and it resulted in protest. And that was a classic case of government failure. Usi tarah se demonetization was government failure. So these are some cases which you can take care about. Licensing once upon a time resulted in government failure. Okay. So then other is Jal Shakti Abhiyan, government taking care about Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. These are different schemes government is taking care about. Girl child should be protected. Then Ministry of Women and Child Development, HRD Ministry, giving funding of 100 crore for this. Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana for girl child to open account at the age of 10, and 21 till 21 she will get the money when she is eligible for getting married. So these are the things government has done. Okay, and I've also shared one case study of cement industry, so you can go through it. This is on CCI, Competition Commission of India, where the companies had gone for creating cartel. Okay, so that's it for today's class. How to control inflation? Shailesh, to control inflation is because of two factors. It can be from the demand side. अगर आप Venezuela का case कह रहे हैं, वो totally different है. You see Sri Lanka in today's scenario. Though this is something different what we are covering, but still, since Shailesh has asked, and I'll summarize in very brief. If you see, inflation is because of two components: demand factor and supply factor. Supply factor is that petrol का prices बढ़ रहा है. Roads are bad, containers are not moving in Sri Lanka, if you see about. So overall, what's happening? Food is not reaching. They are importing food which is not reaching to them. So all these factors, supply front problem is resulting in increasing the price. Core because of oil, okay, one factor. उसी तरह से इंडिया में देखिए आप, अगर पेट्रोल का प्राइस बढ़ गया, सारा लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट बढ़ गया, if it goes up, that means overall cost will increase, and this will reflect in terms of increase in the price, because how the price is decided based on the cost, and transportation is also one of the cost factor. Okay, so that is from the supply front. If agriculture, you are using outdated techniques, then in that case the price will shoot up. What about the demand front? Demand front is that people have income and they want to spend, and interest rate is too low, so people don't want to save, they want to spend, and since they want to spend, they'll create demand. Since demand is there but the supply front problem is there, so overall prices will increase. उसके अलावा बहुत सारे factors हैं, currency है, बहुत सारे factors हैं. So I cannot summarize. If our rupee is depreciating, then also our import bill will increase. It will lead to depreciation of the currency. Import bill increases means it will lead to inflation. आपके exports international market में less competitive हो जाएंगे. Okay. I've already shared, my dear, equilibrium be always satisfactory or beneficial for the society, because if alcohol consumption is equal to supply, absolutely, it should not be equilibrium. It should not be at equilibrium. It should not be at equilibrium. Just breathe. Yes, if it is at equal to supply, if alcohol consumption is equal to supply, then it is not assumed to be beneficial. Definitely. That's why they go for fixing higher, no? So that supply should restrict. Obviously, supply restrict will be the demand come. Okay, then take care, all of you. Bye. Good night. Concluded. Okay. Good night.